Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about My Hero Academia chapter 235. Okay, not gonna lie to you guys, this is the third time I'm recording this part of the chapter just because I had a lot of difficulty talking about this chapter. So what you're gonna see in this video is you're gonna see this part, and then there's gonna be the part that was filmed like 1 or 2 hours ago, I don't know. And I'll just kind of slice them together. I'm trying to make the video shorter and just be more concise with the beginning bit. Anyway, what I just wanted to tell you guys is that this is not my favorite chapter. I don't think it's a very good chapter. I think it's a chapter that is ultimately trying to accomplish a lot of different things, and because of that, it ends up, it's just kind of reiterating on things we already knew. It's confirming things we didn't know. It's a flashback, so it's already kind of not ruining, but like causing the pacing of the arc already. What I really want to say is that going into this, like, I thought Shigaraki's father was going to be an abusive drunk or something along those lines, but instead you find out that it is actually just a guy who misses his mother and loved his mother so much that he wishes that his mother hated him. So what you ultimately get in this situation is a situation where it's victims creating victims. I just hope that people, when they are looking through this chapter, understand what the author is trying to do. Like, the author wants to make it understandable why Shigaraki is going down the route of destruction, so he's trying to drum it up with this chapter, and he's also trying to create a sense of tragedy by showing that the people involved were not that bad. So the author ends up using his tried and true strategies. The author loves making people look really terrible, and he knows the ways to do it. I have this shot on the screen up because this is like pretty much the poster board for how the author goes about this. Does this scene look familiar to you? A young boy hugging his mother after getting, well, told off by his father being angry at him. Does this seem familiar to you, you know? Well, it should, because we've seen this kind of before with Todoroki and his mother and his parent. What you ultimately end up seeing in this chapter of Hero Academia is pretty much the Endeavor redemption arc, only sped up to fit in one chapter. You have the brutality of the father flipping out on Shigaraki, followed by the father's reflection very quickly in the chapter, because the author, like I said, has to get in that justification for Shigaraki, or like the seeming justification for Shigaraki, and then also has to try and make the parents redeemable. Like, this is a situation where it is largely a tragedy, but I just hope that people realize that the author's just using the tricks that he knows when it comes to drumming up feelings for any particular character. I think one reason that I feel like really just off with the chapter is because I feel like there's a lot of, I think it's emotional manipulation at the end of the day. I think this is just the author doing tricks. And by the end of the chapter, it ends off with Shigaraki saying that he hates everyone, and the idea of that is like it's probably like a sort of justification for Shigaraki's destruction behavior at the beginning, but at the same time, like, I feel there's so much more to this, and then it's just the author's doing that because, you know, he wants to keep using Shigaraki as a villain, but I'm sure that down the line there is something that's been left out that will be instrumental in Shigaraki's salvation. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the chapter, and I will cut into like the rest of the video proper now, doing the page-by-page analysis. And if you notice anything that's kind of weird or out of continuity, it's probably because it was from a previous edit that I cut out. So yeah, enjoy that, and yeah, going now back in time. Woohoo! It's a rough chapter for me, guys. It's a rough chapter. Anyway, the color page, it's the 5 Years of Civilization. It's not featuring all the characters in Hero Academia, so because of who's getting into the chapter, who got into the chapter and who didn't, I just kind of want to like point them out. Sorry, who got into the color page and who didn't. So over here we have the big three, they're involved. We have Endeavor and the Bunny Girl, and we have Hawks. And then down here we have Seiji and Kami. I think you guys can see it as well. So I see this and I'm thinking like either this is a celebration of the characters that have been in the manga for the last year, or maybe this is pointing to these characters being the ones that are going to get a little bit more attention. I also see Tokoyami like right here in the main group, like the more prominent characters. So I'm wondering if Tokoyami is going to get a bit more attention this year. So that was really cool to see the color page. I like it. I think that the author has done orange before as a color theme, but I don't really recall. We move on to page 3 of the Jamaini's box translation. So the coolest part about this page is just confirmation of what Redestro did, that is extracting and materializing my stress. I think this is a cool idea, even if they don't look at the physiological effects of the stress bomb and just look at more of an AoE physical damage. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that you can like make a concept a hard material, right? I think it's cool. It's pretty much just like a ball of concentrated hormones. I like it. The other value in this page for me is well, Redestro is kind of giving us the play-by-play of what happened. Like, he was touched, and then you have the badumps going on showing that Redestro is scared. So overall, I think a pretty good starting page. And I'm gonna say, like, you know, when I start reading the chapter, it like really threw me off, because as we find out, the rest of the chapter is a flashback, and this is just, you know, a little opener. Okay, this next page, I don't really know what's going on here. It's kind of hard for me to tell. Like, this first little bit, like the hand coming out of nowhere and it doesn't look damaged. I don't know what's going on. Was that in his pocket? You guys let me know. Like, I really don't know what's going on in the imagery of this particular page for page 4 on Jamaini's box. But it's just, this monologue just tells you, okay, Shigaraki is most likely remembering his life. And as I said before, I don't think he's remembered everything. But will be confirmed next week, likely. We have to just see, because I still think there's a lot of trickery going on in that flashback. This is also the page where Shigaraki is saying that all he wants to truly do is destroy. So like at this point, you're like, why does he want to destroy if he's getting back his memories of his family? And it's like, okay, well, now we're gonna see like the tragic ups and downs of this family. Before that, of course, you need to have that little moment where the characters start talking about philosophy, creation, destruction, whatevs, man. Just, you know, this is just those villainous moments, like, you know, when things are reaching their climax, people have to start talking in abstract terms, because, you know, that just makes the climax, right? Now at page 6, we start going into the flashback proper. What I will draw your attention to is that this is Shimura Tenko Origins, and I do wonder about this, because I see Tomura Shigaraki as a different person. So I think the author may also be trying to keep Shimura, Tenko, and Shigaraki different people, sort of. Like, just for, like, in terms of the story and the thematics, he might just be keeping them separate. Because this is still implying a distinction between Shigaraki's past self and his current self. Like, there isn't a proper flow into the two states. But that might be me biased thinking, because I'm thinking there's something else going on here, or like there's some missing information that we still need. But just keep that in mind. And it also shows us the shot of the house, which is a very strong framing shot for what the author wanted to do with thematics for this chapter. Now page 6 is also where we get to see the first shot of Shigaraki's father, and just a general idea of how things are going. Shigaraki is about to get punished for playing around as a hero. And then we see one of his first cruel and unusual punishments. Now, in all honesty, the leaving Shigaraki outside actually bothers me more than the hitting Shigaraki. Because this is a bit more cruel and unusual. And also, when the kid has allergies that are occurring, I think this is irresponsible. Not a fan of it. I don't like the abandonment situations like this. So, you know, in terms of punishments, you know, there's a lot of criticisms that can be levied onto this person depending on where things, like, where you stand. But like, the idea here is, like, we hope, you know, fingers crossed, that this is a controlled situation and that it's a safe punishment. But it's still kind of rough to watch. Anyway, page 8, big things that I want to point out to you here is him using mother and father to talk to his in-laws. This is important because he's using those words to describe them, just to reiterate or to reinforce the idea that he really doesn't like his mother, right? He's accepted other people as his surrogate family. You know, that's kind of a dig at his mom and the whole abandonment issue. Now, page 8 also has some more interesting information. You know, we find out that the father, in spite of his childhood, became super successful. In spite of heroes, he became super successful. And then we have this information about the allergy. Shigaraki itches. They don't know what he's allergic to. And Shigaraki tells us it only itches at home. So this is interesting. When I read that, I don't think this is a physiological allergy. I don't think that this is like... I know there's a medical term for it, but I don't think this is a normal allergy. Like, there's two possibilities. Either, like, All For One is playing a really weird game where he's, like, setting up Shigaraki with some weird things in his house. Or you have a situation where this is a stress-based allergy. Like he gets anxiety and it pops up as like itching on the face. I think Shigaraki also has a nervous tic where he like scratches his face a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised. This is just a weird factor. It's weird that the author is bringing it up, but I do think it's anxiety based as opposed to something nefarious from All for One. Now, next page we have Shigaraki being comforted by his mother. All cool stuff. I already talked about this. This image is just, it's giving you the idea of the strict father and the comforting mother. Just reinforcing to you that Shigaraki loves his mother at this point. Really, the value here is the imagery, because doing this, you make Shigaraki out, or sorry, I should be calling him Tenko. You make Tenko out to be this small, defenseless child who just wants to be happy. Again, it's just playing up the emotions. The next page, we have Shigaraki just telling us, or reiterating that he wanted to hear one phrase. But what this page does is actually pretty interesting. In contrast to Izuku's "you can be a hero," and when you look at Shigaraki's "you can be a hero," or like him wanting to hear that phrase, Shigaraki's sounds more like he wanted permission to be a hero, not that he could had the potential to be a hero. He wasn't worried about that, because Shigaraki's flashback is based on rules. So he wanted to know that he was allowed to be a hero. So that's really interesting, right? And he like the author leads into it with the words of a grown-up are absolute. So if a grown-up who Shigaraki sees as this amazing person, as this point of authority, says that he can be a hero, imagine how much that would do for him when he comes from this authoritative household. So that's pretty interesting way of making a distinction between the desires to want to hear you can be a hero from different characters. I really appreciated that. And then we have the imagery again of the house quietly denying Shigaraki. Just everything that his father built was something that would deny him from being a hero. Now the next page, page 11, is just seeing Hana and Tenko together, and this is just again putting together the pieces of the flashback. We get the confirmation here that Hana wanted to become hero siblings with her brother. That's all good stuff, and just, you know, like this is just the start of inspiration and the start of like the bad stuff for Shigaraki in this round. Now page 12 is a framing page. It starts off by telling us that that particular day was humid or hot or something. Like, so when you read that part, it tells you, okay, like this is probably the day that everything went down. And when you consider that everything went down so quickly, that also drums up the tragedy. It's tragic because there wasn't an opportunity for Shigaraki to see that things could have changed, right? It just everything went wrong at the worst possible moment. So this page also shows us the first sign of Shigaraki's quirk activating. So you see here him playing, and then you have little crumbs coming off from the ball. So like what I'm going to say here is that it's dubious. This makes you feel like this is a natural occurrence. At 5 years old, he suddenly had it activate. I'm not too sure about that. It could, at this point, like it does shake me a little bit, but I still think All for One was involved here, because like, what are the odds that All for One shows up to find Shigaraki specifically after this occurs, right? Like, why would that happen? What are the odds? But at the same time, I don't know how All for One could have easily have gotten involved with Shigaraki, because we've seen that All for One, all he needs to do to get the quirk working or to transfer a quirk to a person is to touch them. So like, how would All for One go about that? Did he meet Shigaraki at the doctor's clinic? Was he the guy that brought Shigaraki home at the start of the flashback? Was he involved at all, right? Like, it's kind of hard. That said, if Shigaraki has an allergy that they don't know what's causing it, and the dad is so successful and rich that he can have his, just he's portrayed as being a very rich businessman, I highly doubt that his father would not send Shigaraki to a specialist. Doctors had to have gotten involved at some point with Shigaraki to be able to figure out what's going on with his allergy, right? Like, it makes no sense to me that someone so well off would not send their kid to a healthcare professional. So like, the avenues are still available, but it's tough. Moments like this definitely shake me. Page 13 is largely a useless page. It's just like, it's the start of the bad stuff. It's the start of like Shigaraki about to get punished, and it's the start of like this about to get really, really rough. Then page 14, you have, well, kind of motive being established, because you have the reiteration of children can be surprisingly self-centered and straightforward or honest or something like that. And you have it compared to Hana kind of shifting the blame over to Shigaraki. It kind of sounds that way. So this is happening here, to give you the illusion, or like to give you a little bit of an idea of why Shigaraki would have gone after his sister, who was otherwise supportive. But this creates a situation where, like, this is a kid being a kid, right? When you think about it, this isn't especially cruel. This is just a little girl getting scared of her father and then throwing her brother under the bus. I know it's rough to watch, but a little girl getting dusted for that, you know, that's a disproportionate retribution there. But if Shigaraki does go in a murderous, psychotic rampage of death and destruction, I think that would be terrifying. Out of, like, it's just like the stimulus that causes it, you know, when you look at it from a different perspective, it's like, that was too rough. That's why I'm thinking, like, there's still something missing, something still going wrong here. For a kid to make the jump to disintegrating his sister after doing something, like, you know, still a little bit rough. Anyway, point is, this is just establishing motive, trying to give you readers a kind of idea of why Shigaraki would have felt okay going after his sister. The next page is like, again, another really rough page where Shigaraki's getting beat and people are watching. And then Shigaraki going about, don't just watch, please, someone save me. Okay, so, you know, again, a rough page to go through. What I will draw your attention to is the someone save me line. The someone save me line in anyone. The reason that this is important is because this is the same rhetoric that All For One used when he first met Shigaraki, at least in the manga. He's saying stuff like, "Oh, no one came to save you when you really needed it. Where were the heroes when things were going wrong?" Right. So this is the rhetoric that he uses. This is just a reflection of that rhetoric. Again, you know, is the situation actually this nasty? Well, yes, it's a nasty situation. But at the same time, when you play the comparison game, Izuku most likely got beat worse as a kid when he was dealing with Bakugo and his bullies back in the day. Like, I mean, look at that shot. Izuku just got nailed in the face by an explosion punch, right? That said, like, I want to be careful playing the comparison game, because this isn't an apples to apples situation. But what I am looking at is just, you know, where does the fandom draw their lines? People aren't really going to draw their lines with Bakugo hitting Izuku, because maybe you're going to say, like, oh, that's just kids being kids. But at the same time, like, this is a nasty situation, but this is not the worst situation for a kid to be in. Mind you, Shigaraki's a kid who, if the whole thing with the allergy is correct, he has an anxiety-induced, like, itch. And you can kind of see it here. Like, when he's when he's scared of his father, he's still scratching his face, which kind of lends credence to that this is, like, anxiety-based. So, like, I'm sure for the kid, this is the most terrifying thing he's ever been in. And it's pretty rough to watch. But in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't justify what happens later to this father. And that's what I really want to get across to everyone. You know, yes, nasty things happen, but this is not... I hope that no one's, like, actually thinking the father deserved to die for this. Anyway, page 16, we go on. Page 16, this is the page that's just telling you, like, okay, like, this guy has a lot of hang-ups. Like, this guy is hurting on the inside. I will point your attention to this little, like, drop right here. That's just showing that the mother had, in fact, cried onto the page, that Nana was kind of in a tough spot. And that just kind of, like, informs you, like, when you go to the bottom panel, that, okay, like, he was very hurt about this. And also, it also kind of points that he's aware that his mother suffered when she gave him up. I think he's aware of the teardrop on the page because of the emphasis that it got. And I'm sure he's looked at that page multiple times, that he noticed whatever smudge was on that page. So this page was just largely just the start of this guy's redemption or justification arc. Then you have this page for page 18, where it's just telling you that there was a potential for remorse, there was a potential for reflection, there was an admission of guilt here. And you could also respect the mother, because the mother was, like, threatening that she was going to leave if this was going to keep going on. So, like, you had people putting their foot down. You had people getting ready to help the kid. This just drums up the tragedy, because it's like, now you can play the game of what if things never went down? What if Shigaraki's quirk never activated? Would they have had a happy life beyond this? Would this have been a point that they could have worked through? And then you have Shigaraki, of course, crying for the final page. It ends with him saying that he hates everyone. The thing to take away in here is just, like, this is just the lead up to justify why Shigaraki could potentially be in a point where he wants to destroy everything, because like the idea is if Shigaraki remembers everything and he wants to destroy everything, it implies that he had a really nasty go around. But as I said before, I don't think things are as simple as they're being presented as. I think there's still missing factors. And like, hey, man, we also, I know I should have noticed that we saw Shigaraki with black hair in this one, and we know he ends up with white hair by the time that the guy finds him. So there's a lot of missing spots here, and the chapter itself is playing this tricky game where I think the author leaves it in such a negative place. He builds up all like this trauma on Shigaraki's side, and he builds it there because he wants to give us the illusion, because he wants to just and I think the author's building it there because he wants to play up the tragic aspect of this. He wants to have Shigaraki in a place where Shigaraki's still going to be doing bad, but there's still an avenue for redemption. I still think it's very possible for Shigaraki to be saved. And when you look at the whole save me line, Tomura Shigaraki most likely will get his redemption when he gets saved. And he has to get saved from All for One. Someone save him. That's like, or someone save me. Anyone please. Like that's his arc words, I think. Those are going to be the words I think are going to be repeated when it comes to whenever Shigaraki and Izuku have a big confrontation. I think the game's going to be going to be kind of switching in a way to like seeing Shigaraki's salvation come to some other form. That's if we're going down the redemption line. Like it's very possible that the author plays it straight and has Shigaraki go on a murderous rampage in his house without remorse. But given that Shigaraki comes out of this experience with white hair, it tells me that Shigaraki suffers a lot, or is about to suffer a lot for that hair to go white. I don't think he's just suddenly going to get it. I don't think he's going to go into that house after he dusts his dog and try to dust his parents just out of hate. I don't think that's going to be down the way. I think it's more likely that the kid goes through a traumatic experience, really hates what he's done, and then he locks away all those memories because he can't deal with it. And because I think that part is probably still locked away. That's what I'm kind of thinking for this. But the author leaves it at the I hate everyone because he needs to justify why Shigaraki is at the point at right now. Anyway, this was a long video because there was just too much to talk about, and I don't think I did a great job of explaining my points. But I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below. At the end of the day, I think the chapter is just, I feel it's zigzagging because the author just wants to end things off at a point where Shigaraki's still evil, but like there's still a potential for success. That's why we go between positives and negatives, because there's just too many things that had to be accomplished in order to make this work. Yeah, not my favorite, but I hope you guys all enjoyed. And like there were like really cool things to talk about, and I feel like I missed a lot because I'm too focused on what's on the page. I'm not kind of extrapolating, but let me know if you guys got any ideas down below. Sorry for the rambles, but yeah, till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.